This is League Unlocked. That's Mark. My name is Eric, and it's time for the power rankings out in the LCK. And spoilers, guys, Jin is still winless, Mark. A quick moment of silence for Jin. That's enough. I'm still hoping that they don't go 0-18 just because it's so sad to see teams go in the history book for that. But they look terrible. They're not even playing in most of these games. They're going to be number 10 on these rankings until, I don't know, 2020 maybe if they're not relegated heading in to the summer split. But they remain at number 10 in Korea. And the bottom three, because Jin are in their other category, finally some actual movement. I think you can clearly say now that Africa is the better team out of Gen.G, KT, and the Freaks, because they actually showed up. They actually played in some games and won a series.
Well, hold on. First things first. I kind of want to see Jin go for the 0-18. If Griffin is going to have the 18-0 season, I am all about Thanos' theory here. There's got to be balance in this universe, and if you're going to have 18-0, got to have 0-18 at the bottom of the table.
It would make a fantastic story.
Yeah, but jumping right back in here to the power rankings, you got to have Africa Freaks ahead of this kind of bottom level here, the battle for relegation, because absolutely we have seen it from Africa Freaks this past week. The separation between them and KT Rolster and Gen.G level here is definitely very clear so far in what we've seen on the stage.
And honestly, you could maybe put their sub-roster that they all of a sudden throw out in a series after they beat Sandbox. Maybe they're even higher than KT and Gen.G as well. They looked great in some of these games, and the Sandbox one in particular, you're thinking, finally, this is what we thought. This is why we ranked this team as a top 4 squad in the preseason, because those solo lanes should be absolutely insane and able to carry momentum, carry games single-handedly, aiming. We've seen how aggressive he can be, so it was so exciting to see that. And then this series where they subbed them all out, I still don't understand. I'm going to complain about it on every show we do from now on.
The absolute insanity about that move, and where it is super questionable given the performances that we've seen from the actual starting roster recently, is that UCal and Aiming specifically were two guys that had arguably the best performances of the season for Africa Freaks in that matchup there, and to sub them out the very next one against a Hanwha Life team where you know Hanwha Life seems to be that indicator of whether you're good enough or not to make it into the playoffs here in the LCK this split so far, and to say, no, we can just really roll the dice here and switch out the roster after the best performances that you've had this split, it's not adding up to me.
Doesn't make sense for the Africa Freaks. And quick note, we had KT above Gen.G on those rankings, even though they have one less win, but Gen.G's win came against Jin this week, so it doesn't really count as a win. Number 6, you see Hanwha there, who took down the Africa Freaks, and they are on that playoff bubble as they have been for the last year. And if we go into the top 5, it's Kingzone, where I don't think many people would have expected them to be performing this well. You knew Deft would put on a show, and he's been doing enough to get his team in the top 5 here at 6-4.
Hey, we talked about it earlier, and it even looked like that throughout a couple games here, that Deft was really the only one alive at the end of team fights for Kingzone. They seem to have improved their performance drastically since then, improved a lot of other areas. I think someone who deserves some credit here with Kingzone is the likes of Pawn in the mid lane. I think he's had a little bit of a resurgence, not nearly to the point he was when he was a world champion, but definitely better than we have seen from him inside the past year or so. And then, hey, you gotta have them there, because when you get above where Kingzone is and you get above the performances that they've had, it kind of is absolutely that next cut above here in the LCK from 4 to 2 here from Sandbox, Damwon, and SKT.
Yeah, and even though Sandbox did go 0-2, they're still in that top 4 position. But the big climb this week is Damwon. They've continued to climb the last couple of weeks now. They've won 4 in a row. And before the crazy win they had against SKT, they started the week off with a win against Hanwha, which obviously was had huge implications on the standings for that playoff run. And now with Flame coming into this lineup, I think we're going to be saying Damwon is right there with SKT. And the fact that we have SKT higher than them still is just kind of the overall season body of work. And really, SKT probably still should have won that series. I still feel like right now they're the stronger team.
SKT should have won that series for sure. This is exactly, hey, it's the replay of the Kespa Cup type of situation where you had the game go in you smashed game 1, game 2 was close, and game 3 you are smashing and then just not taking care of every single chance that you can here. You give them that slight window there. Flame takes full opportunity and gets the Baron for them, finds a way back into the game, and Damwon controls from that point onwards. But you are right, the body of work this split so far would indicate that SKT has to be the higher ranked team at this point. But hey, not without issues of their own. I think the trend here, Papa Smithy called it out here, is if Clid is not really popping off for SKT, you're not seeing the roster operate at its full level if Clid is not a major part of the game.
Yeah, so obviously that's going to be an emphasis for opposing teams, just to shut him down in the jungle early on. And I can't believe it, but Griffin is in at #1, and they've been so dominant that the LCK says, you know what? Let's give Griffin this week off and other teams more time to practice and kind of figure out how they can stop the behemoth that is Griffin, because right now they are on a one-way stop to 18-0.
This is just insanity right here. I'm waiting for it. This is like, you know, you're playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare here. This guy's got the tactical nuke ready to go at the start.
Every single game.
Oh yeah, he's ready to go at the beginning of the match with something like that. This squad is insane. The talent that they've had. Someone made a list basically running down all of the stats that you could have and ranking the players where they were in those statistical lists here. And Tarzan comes in with a 1.1 rating, which essentially means that he's #1 in every category except for one. So that's insanity right there when you got your jungler leading almost every possible recordable statistical category. Tarzan is a beast, Griffin is a beast, and they're the #1 team, the LCK.
And that's why the LCK is giving them a break. You know what? You guys have done so well. Don't play this week. Give the other teams a chance to catch up, which means maybe we'll have some other movement from these other squads. But I can personally guarantee you that Griffin will be safe and sound in that #1 spot going forward. That's all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys. Thanks for watching as always. We'll see you next time.